I can't hear you. I see your mouth moving though.
How about that?
That works.
Sweet.
Third time's a charm.
Exactly. I like your microphone.
Thank you. It is very expensive.
I've been debating, should I get like my own, like a mic, like a proper, it's just my camera picks me up now. So
Yeah, I mean, it really depends, right? Like, do you want to spend hundreds of dollars to make your voice sound like it normally would if somebody was sitting next to you?
I'm not running any podcasts, so
right. Like the whole
issues.
reason I joined or got this was because I was joining podcasts on a regular basis. Then the pandemic hit, and
yeah.
It was like nonstop streaming from that point forward until now. So now we're just using it for meetings and everything. So why not?
Yeah.
One question I would have, doesn't it kind of, what's the word? Isn't it in your sight all the way, and isn't it disturbing you a little bit that you have a huge microphone?
It's inside the bubble of my sight window when I look at the monitor, right? Like my monitor is far enough away that like it doesn't even come into view. Like it's actually, normally you'll see it more like that. So when it's like this and up close and personal, I don't see this right here. It's just like my sight line is from here to here, and you can't see that I just did this, which means, you know, my depth of vision is like, this is just off the periphery.
It's very interesting, like not in your case, but with others, I often said they speak to the microphone on the side, and that looks pretty weird because that's where the microphone is. But you speak to the front, so it's
well, you're supposed to, as George Castro put it, point it directly at your face, Chris. So it's like, okay, fine, I'll point it directly at my face. But the nice part is like anything could happen around me, like a door could slam. Maybe you would hear that, maybe. But somebody could be like outside with a pressure washer. This has happened before. And it doesn't get picked up on the mic at all. So when I was in my unfinished basement, it was like the perfect mic to have because there's just so much noise.
Cool. Thanks for the insights.
So,
hello.
And you were having a good start then on, but yeah, the mic topic I think became more and more interesting now. Yeah.
Everyone needs something to talk to.
And I think that the amount of stuff that people were like buying as the COVID hit. I mean, you were working remotely before, right? So you had
right. Like a lot of the stuff I've just had, right? The upgraded camera is actually not really an upgrade. It's a used camera, right? So really I spent money on a good lens, right? Like that's it. The lights were cheap, like $80. It was probably as much money to buy the mount and the monopod that the lights sit on as the lights themselves. So I've gone through quite a few brackets and microphone arms, like within the first 2 years of having a mic like this. I went through 5 arms. Like one literally exploded during a live stream once. It was kind of funny. Like this is all springs and housing and such. And if this goes, it all like just goes down from there.
Yeah, sometimes stuff breaks weirdly. I mean, totally different story, but I had my washing machine actually explode.
Yeah, facilities management is the worst part of working from home. I will always say that.
and today I had the mechanic there. He has never seen this in his entire career. What did you do with that thing?
Always comforting.
But anyways, yeah. But I learned a lot about how they actually work internally today. Yeah, we are 5 minutes in, so that's usually when we get started. See you already adding yourself to the list. As you can see, we already have worked on an agenda. So I already got the golden star from Amy. I'm a bit bragging here because we now have an agenda up and running. So that's great. And obviously it's even greater that actually people volunteer to contribute because I'm more as the MC here on most of those topics. So yeah, it's mostly working group updates today. project update on Potato Head. And then I put two things in there, KubeCon EU, which is more of an open discussion, like what are we going to do around KubeCon EU for the app-delivery team? And then a short update on the application delivery conference. So before we jump into the details, the actual conference day, it was tight the last time. Me then being out for 10 days with COVID and not talking to the events team didn't happen to make it happen. But the good news is I think we're still on track for North America. So when we go to wonderful Detroit in fall this year, we will be able to do it. But for that's also why I put KubeCon EU in there separately. I think we should still have the chance maybe to meet up and do something on a socializing type of level and how we want to get together. Okay, but let's, I think, jump right into chaos engineering. Kartik, who is...
Hey Vivran. Hi, Eloy. Hope everyone is doing great. Sorry about not being able to turn on the camera today. A very quick update on the chaos engineering work group. I think we made a little bit of progress. I'll probably just share my screen for a few minutes and just take you through a few artifacts that we have. We made some progress on the charter. The charter did get a lot of feedback from the tag leads, tag security, observability, and tag app delivery. We resolved most of the comments factored in the feedback and modified this charter. Now this is also committed in its current form into the chaos engineering work group repository here. And I think from my understanding, we probably need to go for a 2C vote on this working group based on the current charter. That's my understanding at this point. We also got started anyways on the white paper. This was a long pending activity. We do have a couple of sections filled in. This is a modified scope for the white paper based on the latest charter. And we're planning to approach this in a couple of phases. Mostly the phase one will be about introduction to chaos, an overview of the landscape, and details about how people can get started with the experimentation. And phase two will be more about specific scenarios, chaos scenarios that can be executed using the different tools that are available in the landscape, at least the ones that are listed on the CNCF landscape. So that the latter is essentially to avoid the king-making part and ensure that there is a way for people to choose a tool of choice when executing a particular scenario. And we have some information here on in terms of what chaos engineering is and how people can get started. And there is a glossary that we've just written up in terms of the glossary is not alphabetically sorted. It's more around what a user might encounter as they start their chaos engineering journey, the terminologies they are most likely to encounter. So this information is also placed into the repository. We had a few user interviews. One of the working model points in the charter was to invite users and vendors to come and talk about their perspectives around chaos engineering. We had some end users from organizations like Lenskart, HelloDoc, and IAG talk about how they started their chaos engineering practice, where they are right now, and what challenges they face, what they are looking forward to from the community, the CNCF community, in helping them do better in their chaos journey. There are a few user interviews that are lined up for the coming months. As you can see, there have been no user interviews over the last few months. but there is one lined up for the next meeting. There's one tomorrow, but the one that is after that, we do have end user discussion lined up. And that's something that we are sort of collating here, and hope to take information from there and add back into the white paper. I did see a couple of comments, the ones that are TBD at this point, apart from us going to the TOC vote and what other things need to be changed on the charter, is increasing the interested parties and taking it to a wider audience. Right now, this is a fairly smaller group, and the work group meeting attendance is also limited to a few members. So we would definitely like to increase that. So that's something that we're working towards. And the other aspect is that of sponsorship and the chair. There was a comment from Alex on the charter about us having an interim chair before we actually end up having actual chairs. So those are two things that are TBD. And the items that we would need help on, like Lois mentioned on the Slack, is anybody that is interested in contributing to the white paper in terms of topics or subtopics that you would like to see. I think that would be great. That is probably the main activity that we are engaged in as a working group in the next few days. The recent discussion was about adding some infographics and make it simpler for folks to use. So any feedback around what you would like to see in terms of explanation to chaos and scenarios covered, that would be a great area to contribute. And if you are already practicing chaos engineering or know someone that does, if they're willing to share their story, then I think inviting them to this working group would be another great way to contribute. We were always happy to speak to them. There is a template, basically a 3-4 slider, which has some basic questions about how they got started, what they're facing right now, what they would like to see, things like that. And we would like to record that information here. So that's where we are. Yeah, that was a quick update.
Yeah, I think that's actually amazing that there was actually content out there that I even didn't know, like the interviews. I think this is super amazing. These are videos, right? I assume.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Do we also add them to the App-Delivery YouTube channel? I'm looking at Thomas because I did not add them, so my answer would be no. And if we didn't,
yeah, I think
should, right?
Some of them we did add into the App-Delivery channel. Probably not all the recordings have gone in there. We've been a little bit lax on updating it right away, but some of these are already there. I think there are a few which needs to go in. I think the last 3-4 meetings are not yet in the App-Delivery channel, but we will get it up there.
Yeah. I think that's also like great having that correct. Yeah. Josh?
Yeah, I just was wondering, Karthik, how did you find those user interviews? How did you find those users and get them to agree?
Yeah, I think a couple of them were leads, Josh, from an event that we conducted called Chaos Carnival. We, as in the Litmus community, was involved in that effort, and these folks happened to use the platform, and we learned about their usage there, and just wanted them to come over and talk a little bit at length. What they presented was a little specific. We wanted them to talk more about not so much about the tool or the platform, but their general philosophy around chaos and things like that. That's how we invited them.
Thanks. Cool. That's a good idea.
So what we should do for the working group, we obviously need to circle this back to the TUC. I mean, there is an obvious candidate for at least interim chair for the working group. So if we would put them in there, I think we could share the charter with the TOC and ask them to vote on it. Because I think that's pretty much what's missing right now.
Right. I think Alex did volunteer. I was a little confused about what is a chair versus a sponsor. I'm not too clear about that. That's the question that I asked here. But yeah, I think
that's a historic template. Maybe to quickly jump in here, the chair is the one who's actually doing the work, and like organizing it, not like doing all the work, but like keeping the team organized and ensures it's moving forward. Sponsors were in there if you have a dedicated sponsor, say from the TOC. So in the past for working groups, we had in there, so assume like Harry from the TOC would say, yes, I'm sponsoring this. I'm thinking it's a good idea. It's usually helpful if you have those sponsors directly from the TOC. You don't actually need them necessarily, but we are still using the old template for the charter that we used before. Chairs is, I think, really the key topic, because in order to vote on something, people need to ensure that things are moving forward. And if you and Alex are willing to take this, I think it's great, but because this would be most likely the initial feedback, like who's driving this activity, and then we can go like we can also do it all at once, and we don't ask for the working group and later on we ask for the chairs, so we can more or less do like this as an all-in-one thing, more or less.
Got it. Yeah, understood. Yeah, I'll probably work with Alex. I'll be happy to assist him as well. So I think we'll also bring this up in tomorrow's discussion. We have a few folks from Chaos Mesh and Chaos Blade that join in to these calls sometimes as well. So we will definitely take this knowledge back there.
Yeah, I think it's just important that there's somebody, and I mean, you're doing an awesome job here anyways, driving this forward and coordinating with like all the other parties who are involved. So I think it is in good hands. We just need to make it official right now. So I will just bring it up then once you have agreed on this, to bring it up to the TOC.
Sure. All right. Thank you. I'll just stop sharing.
Yeah, and on the white paper, I think it's best to like really reach out to people where you really would like help and what you would like help on. I think that's the
Right.
like help. Can you help me here? Can you do this? This is usually more helpful than. One thing I would put in there, I don't know whether we need it, but Thomas knows from the operator white paper where we were like literally circling around a large number of times, is who this white paper is actually for. So if you don't have the target audience in there, that might be one of my tips. Because we were circling in the beginning, it was, yes, this is for practitioners who want to learn it. Then it was, yeah, this is for people who want to use it. Then it became, this is, and this was actually a real request, so I'm not making this up to make this a more funny meeting. This is for my boss who doesn't understand cloud native. We went and said, no, stop, this is not who this is for. This is for people who want to adopt chaos engineering, or who started to do chaos engineering and want to get better and like do it in a more mature way. That usually avoids a lot of conversations you have later on when people say, but they're not talking about the business impacts. I know, because these people want to get stuff done. Just as something what we learned, what helped us to avoid a lot of conversations where we just said, that's not what we're doing here.
Sure. I think right now
it's sometimes helpful to tell people, yeah, that's what we kind of agreed we're not doing.
Right, got it. I think right now the way we are sort of going about it is targeting the people who are beginning their chaos journey, which explains some more theory on what is chaos and how to get started and things like that. But like you said, there would be a lot of practitioners, people who already got started, who might want to take their practice to the next level by taking reference from this. So I think we would gradually get both elements into the white paper. And I will respond on will sort of try to post some messages on the Slack channel App-Delivery, as well as the Slack channel on specific work items that we need help on. I agree, it's like a little too dissolved or high level right now. I probably we'll work that out and make that as more actionable items and ask for help there.
Yeah. No, but I think amazing. Also the interviews. I mean, that's like really great. You put a lot of effort into this. This is, I think, amazing work. Okay, moving on to the next, cooperative delivery.
Yeah, so I'm representing, it's me and Robert. I'm just going to quickly share my screen. That seemed to work well for you, Karthik. So yeah, put everyone over there, and I will close. So I'm just going to walk through the stuff that's in the doc, in the meeting notes doc. So first area is we want to gather more use cases from users. That's why I asked about what's going on with the user interviews. We've published a couple forms. This is kind of a minimum viable survey and kind of minimum viable how we're publishing it, just to see what's going on, just to see how it works. Yeah, it might even be interesting to add the chaos one here too. So yeah, so send people here. I'm curious also, you know, we talked about what our core goals are in cooperative delivery, and so these kind of capture that too, what we're hoping to ultimately build or ultimately help people with. Related to that, we've got Alex opened an issue about a multi-tenant Kubernetes white paper. So towards that end, people are talking in that issue, but we also, we've got a couple comments here about, you know, people submitting their use cases. Last thing that I put on the list for cooperative delivery is like something that I'm working on, and something, you know, it's one of our, I guess, two streams. One is gathering information, and the second one is based on that information, actually developing a library of patterns. So that's kind of an ask, you know, what do you think of this? You know, do you have any recommended patterns to add? Yeah, so that's kind of high level where we're at today for cooperative delivery. Any questions there? Comments?
So yeah, the idea is to like get people to fill out the use case issue, right?
Yeah, I published it on my LinkedIn. I didn't publish it on Twitter yet. Kind of wanted to see how it went for the first few people. You know, if yeah, we can think about how to publish, you know, make this more public, or, you know, we can decide, okay, these are good questions, we're getting the right answers, let's put it in a different format. But, you know, a little bit of insight, I always say one customer is better than none. So a little bit of insight is good. I mean, this is at least a start.
Chris just proposed Cube Weekly maybe as one too.
Cube Weekly, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, like I could stick it in there right now if you wanted.
Yes,
So I'm
that would be
literally updating
amazing.
it. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's great. Like also tracking them this way, I think is amazing. And people would then obviously see them, so we could have a filter on those, right? Even did we have already people filling it out?
Just those first couple. If you look in the issue, what happens is when they fill it out, it creates a public issue that gets tagged. And then we can continue discussion there, or, you know, it's just insight for us. That's the idea.
Yeah, we can just more or less have a filter on that one. Say, okay, current ones, yeah. But yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah.
So.
Like we could put that in a we could put the surveys in a separate repo. Like I said, it's kind of minimum viable first run. And
I think it's amazing because rather than using another form, everybody can see what people have submitted immediately. I think is great. And we will also encourage to use GitHub more for what we can use GitHub for, and having custom issues, I think is a great idea. So the idea is really to share this now out and get more feedback. I assume, yeah. Yeah. We can share it on Slack. I mean, if Chris is going to share, it's super helpful, and just see what we collect there, and then we can provide some feedback on this one. So awesome. Great, this is moving forward. So I'll also put this into the next TUC update as well.
Great.
That we also ask people, because usually a lot of people watching the TUC updates as well say, hey, this is also where we have nice survey going on these topics. Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. Update on anything else? I mean, that covers pretty much everything you have in there, right?
Yeah, I think so. Unless you all have questions, feedback.
Next one, update from Potato Head. I think that goes one with you as well, right?
Yeah, that's me too.
Sorry, one question to the previous one is like, there's the organization question, but could it be interesting to have a little bit of insights about the user itself? Because okay, that the information comes in, but it might be pretty specific whether you are a tech or finance or startup. So just now that I started to look into it a bit more, and of course we want to keep it small and short, so I don't really have a good proposal, just the topic itself, like a single question about the user type. If you could come up with something, perhaps I will think about it more and will write it on Slack if I have an idea.
Yeah, that would be great. I've got at the bottom, I think the last question is organization. I didn't want people to feel like they have to tell us, but maybe like right around there, like describe your, who you are.
Yeah, like size of the organization, then it might be easier to get than organization names.
Yeah, that's true. It's just attributes instead of the actual name. But by the way, a good thing about doing GitHub is you can just submit a pull request that modifies the template. And it's just YAML, so you can add another field there. We can debate it.
I don't know GitHub. I don't know GitHub, but I will try.
Okay. Yeah, it's just under the .github. Oh, right, your GitLab. Sorry, if you just under the .github folder, issue template is where there's just YAML files to describe those things. So it's pretty intuitive.
Under docs. Okay, I will. Oh, this. Okay, I found it. I think.
Sweet.
Thanks.
Okay, so I'll switch over to Potato Head. So just a couple things to call out. I'm pretty interested in using this towards one of those initiatives in the cooperative delivery Ouija to use it to demonstrate, integrating some infrastructure with app. So that's why I'm pretty involved in this one too. There's 3 PRs out there. The more comments, the better. I guess we'll merge them eventually with minimal comments. One is to make service discovery work. I did a quick demo on that in the last cooperative delivery one. It basically lets the service discovery of the backend parts be done through a config map or a file instead of static. So it's just a start. I'm hoping that people like service mesh people and stuff like that can leverage. It's an interface, so can leverage the same thing to do something else, demonstrate other integrations in the future. So that's that one. Catch came to the TOC a few weeks ago, so I noticed they were coming, so I pinged them. I was like, can you please update your thing there? So they did. I haven't had a chance to review it yet, but if anybody else wants to, that'd be great. And then operator framework is one that I have in there also, which I need to kind of finalize, but I had the Argo, sorry, I was looking at the word Argo. I had the operator team look at it too, and they were okay with it. Asks in Potato Head we could use, and I know Alois is going to say you should reach out to them directly. So I'm reaching out to some of you right here. We still need a little help with the remaining delivery scenarios. Argo, Captain, Kubevela, and then the kind of the long tail, Gimlet, KApp, CNAB. I'll get to them eventually, or someone will. But yeah, the more people that can help, the better. And then the last thing I wanted to show is kind of an idea. I think we have time. So if you don't mind, I'll just quickly share my screen again. I've already gotten to the page. So it's actually inspired by a customer that I'm helping them out with Eclipse Shea, which Red Hat, sells as code-ready workspaces. So that's what it says here. But that is based on they use a format called dev file, which is actually they've applied for Sandbox at CNCF. So I just wanted to show, what that could do for us. So I've already opened it up in here, but I want to show how easy it is to get that. I've already put a dev file into a fork of my own repo. You can kind of see there. So workspaces at OpenShift.com is an Eclipse Shea server. So sorry, I'm using that here, but You just point it at where your dev file is, and this is the main demo. It picks it up. This is actually free, so you can try it here. It will go through that. It's gonna do all this stuff, applying dev file. It's not happy because I can only run one at a time, so you can't start more than one workspace. But this is what you'll end up with afterwards. And you can hack around it. I need to do some work, so like I'd love to have, like, you know, once you're in here, you can open up a shell to your. So basically, what you get in this. I'm getting a little too far into dev file, but you get a pod with a lot of containers that you can kind of go off and run things in. So ideally, I'd be able to, you know, run all the tests, but this is early days. I don't have JQ. It doesn't have kubectl, so it's not quite working. But you get the idea. And I could point this container dev. You know, I could build it any way I want. So then it would have all the tools I needed. Yeah, so that was it. I just wanted, like, I was kind of thinking eventually there's a dev file v2. This is actually v1, but eventually maybe drop a dev file in, and that will make it even easier for folks to, you know, use it as a playground, hack on it, you know, and demonstrate another CNCF project at the same time. That's it. I'll stop sharing.
Yeah. I think the idea is great, because one of the ideas was that people can easily get started without like needing to provision a lot of things. So do you need a Red Hat account for using the dev file, or?
No, you don't need. It's not Red Hat at all, but you need an Eclipse Shea server if you want to use, you know, our that Red Hat's hosted Eclipse Shea. Then it's at workspaces.openshift.com. That's free. But you have to sign up. You don't have to. I don't have a Red Hat email, but you know, you have to put an email and register. And it's publicized all over the Eclipse Shea, so it's the CNCF plus Eclipse here.
Yeah, I think we should definitely add it as an option if people don't want to run it locally. I think that's totally fair. It's like in the past, we added it for like local Kubernetes environments, but I mean, cloud-based environments are even more convenient. Yeah.
Yeah, and if people have a Shea server of their own, then they'll be able to point to the same dev file. I mean, I just did it here because it's public, but if I had my own cluster, I could do it there too. Yeah, that's it. I don't, unless you have questions on Potato Head.
Why not? I mean, this should be for experimenting and trying things out. What was your thinking about Potato Head? When we again do Google Summer of Code applications within the CNCF, that might be something to ask Chris, because officially we can't. But what I mean, officially we can't. We kind of can. We just have to politely ask. But we're not a CNCF project per se, but we're one of those demo projects. So I wouldn't see why we couldn't have somebody as part of Summer of Code also helping out with some of the examples. I mean, some of the people who I know here, obviously, we will let them know that they update the examples. Some even wear the proper t-shirts for those today. So that's. And yeah, some of the others I can definitely reach out to as well. Yeah, but yeah, I would add to that.
I take every opportunity. When I see somebody who works on Argo, I'm like, can you check the Argo? Can you check the Flux? I asked Scott to check out Flux, so Scott Rigby.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can do Captain.
Great.
Yeah, and for the dev file, I think adding it as an alternative for people can start it. Why not? I mean, this should be an experimentation playground. That's the way it was designed. And in whichever way we can make it easier for people to run and experiment with it. That was always the idea behind the project. If you want to play around or learn how to use a number of different delivery projects and play around with scenarios, it is pretty straightforward for you to do so. Okay. Looking at the time, good in time. So asks, okay, find people who do it. Dev file demo. Anything else from your side you want to bring up on Potato Head?
Nope. I think that's it for now.
Yeah, and thank you also for driving this forward. So this it's kind of good to see that project getting alive on its own, and also ensure that it gets more exposure also over time. KubeCon.eu. So Chris, you added a comment here. The contributors summit space. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a contributor summit happening at KubeCon EU. I forget which day 0 it is, but because there's 2 day zeros nowadays. But that is a space that this group could use if they so wanted to like, you know, just meet and say hi or whoever's there. There's not really we're not putting a ton of rigor into like programming for the contributor summit this year. It's just gonna kind of be just a meeting space, it seems like, for folks to discuss whatever they need to. So feel free to say, you know, yeah, we can take a table here or there kind of thing. I think that's 2 rooms. I'm on the calls every once in a while with CNCF, so I think it's 2 rooms this year, so there's plenty of space.
So what we need to do is just say, declare interest on the issue, or
yeah, just
Okay.
mention it there, and I can bring it up in the next meeting.
Yeah, I think it's good to share also some. Yeah, we can then discuss format, but there's I think some work that we could share. And yeah, by the way, I didn't know whether you saw this. People are now referencing the operator white paper. Just for not liking operator, but that's another topic. But it gets public attention, so people they were referencing it as an official resource. I think is good. Yeah. Let's comment on this one then. Yeah, and I think we also get together how we would set it up. Yeah, App-Delivery conference. Quick update. I briefly mentioned it.
Is this at KubeCon? Is this like a pre-conference for KubeCon?
Yeah, that's the zero type conference.
Yeah.
Okay.
The zero events. It's not conference. The zero events. Yeah. Obviously, we are too late for the one happening in Valencia. I think that's why I think that one would be a great way of getting together. And I think also for this group here, where a lot of people have never met the other people like in person while collaborating for 2 years, I think we could also find some type of social gathering for us to at least meet in person, which we haven't done. So setting this up as well and sharing it. For the bigger delivery conference, yeah, let's plan for fall. I'm still working through the details of what we actually need to do there and what type of support we will need. Obviously, we will need a couple of people supporting this event. So I'm now taking the task of like figuring out what we need to do, working with security and with the events team to have an idea. And in the next 2 weeks, I should have a clear understanding what needs to be done there. Like we need to obviously take care of a lot of things ourselves. There's also a lot of infrastructure on the CNCF. I'll do a bit more detailed deep dive into this in the next meetings, because quite honestly, I just have to get myself familiarize myself with what really needs to be done there. But I think it's a great opportunity for us, which then brings us to the next point on volunteers. So we will need people to obviously support this from a program committee from the day of the conference, and I'm sure there's like 100 other things that we need to take care of so that this really runs smoothly. So I'm not asking you to volunteer today for something you don't already know what you are volunteering for, but just bringing it up so that people can think about, yeah, this would be something I would be interested in helping out or might find some time to do it. And again, I'll share updates the next time once I also have a better understanding what this really entails for all of you. Obviously, Josh, you will have to do some potato head live coding there. I mean, that's
I'd love to. I was even thinking of like a hackathon. Yeah.
Might actually be a good one.
I think that would go really well, to be honest with you. If there was a potato hackathon, like, and we got the word out there somehow, that would be really cool.
Yeah, it could be fun.
I also still want that service where when I assemble a potato head, I can immediately print a t-shirt that looks exactly like the one that I just assembled.
I need proposals. T-shirt machines are hardware.
But there are services that have APIs. Because we need an external third-party service anyways that should be integrated with API keys, actually. That's it. Yeah, that's it pretty much for this week. Looking at, do we have dev file? Okay, future. Do you think that the dev file people would actually be willing to, because we haven't done this in a while, like having smaller project presentations? I mean, at least I'm not familiar, maybe everybody else is, but I'm not that familiar with what dev file is actually doing.
Yeah, I could ask them. It's because they're in Sandbox anyway, so yeah, great chance for, or they're trying to get the Sandbox, so it'll be a great chance for them to talk. The Eclipse Shade developers are, a lot of them are at Red Hat, so that's why I say I can ask them.
Which is fair. Everybody is welcome here, and I think we should do more like of those project discussions. And I think generally that's something like reaching out more to projects to, once this group is bigger, but not like having a separate video on specific projects and what they're doing, and sharing it, because many people come to the CNCF also for exposure. But as we all know, exposure doesn't happen by being somewhere. Otherwise, we would just have to put something on the internet and it would magically turn into becoming great. And that's why giving Sandbox projects a chance to have a discussion would be amazing if they want to. Yeah, just ask
I'm going to
them.
talk, because it's a great time, because what's happening right now is there was dev file v1, and now there's a v2, which is further kind of separating the IDE from the workspace, and I'm excited about it. So I'd love for them to, it's a good inflection point for them to talk to us.
And I think, yeah, and we can even then like cut it separately as part of the videos, that we take this part out of the overall video and have it like separate, even as a showcase example. And
That's
maybe
good to
work on,
know.
okay, what would we want projects to show when they introduce themselves? Like not that we're like forcing them to do exactly what we want them to do, but giving them an idea, like you should cover like these things that as part of the project. Because to be fair, most of the incubation project proposals cover rather project growth and what they're doing roadmap wise, but they're never actually showing how like people could use it like on an everyday basis. And that also helps us to share more of those use cases. Yeah, another thing that's coming up for the next one, there's actually a project we are working on right now that will be submitted into Sandbox, and we means Dynatrace plus some other companies in the field on creating a cloud native feature flagging project. So the idea is basically we have a unified feature flagging API, think open telemetry, but feature flagging, and have it done in the cloud native way, where via CRDs you can actually control your feature flags.
I just wanted to raise the same topic. I forgot to mention it before on Slack. So I wrote the message on Slack that for next occasion that we could discuss feature flagging.
Yeah, it's early stage. We talk to Thomas. I'll put it in there next time. We will be able to show a bit more.
Actually, you talked to GitLab as well.
Yes, we talked to GitLab. We are talking to AWS. We talked to Google, Microsoft, Red Hat. Pretty much reached out to everybody. I think the challenge is right now there's like many APIs out there and they're not interchangeably. Also, they are technically kind of like doing the same thing. And there's no cloud native version of it. Like there's some external feature flagging server that's running where you're controlling your feature flags. And your application doesn't know anything about it. So it's not part of your GitOps process, really. It's not really linked to your application deployment. It's always kind of like happening outside. And we ran into some issues there, like that. And like other topics, I want to, for example, use some information which I might have already in OpenTelemetry baggage available. I want to use it for a feature flagging evaluation. I can't do this without changing my feature flagging code. Also, OpenTelemetry might already be aware of this as part of baggage. So lots of topics. We'll dive into it next time a bit deeper. Just as we had some minutes left, I just wanted to bring it up. Again, if you want more information, feel obviously free to ping me on this one. I think it's that's also why we kicked it off. I think it's well worth working in that direction. And it will be in the next round of sandbox submissions. And yes, it's Dynatrace, it's GitLab. We have also, I think also already agreed is, yeah. Let me check who we have in there right now. That's the old one. Yeah. Canonical is part of it as well. Reaching out to Replicated, who's not officially yet there, but also trying to chime in there. We'll talk about it more next time. And again, if you want to know something early on, or if you would know somebody inside your company, organization, other projects you're involved in, feel free to send them our way. But next time I'll bring the product manager and also from some of the participating teams on to talk a bit more about it. This was really just a heads up that you were aware of it, because we have 2 minutes left and we are perfectly on time. Anything else from anybody, or something that they want to like to be discussed the next time? Okay, then we are really perfectly on time, because this meeting is planned for 45 minutes and this is where we are right now.
Nice
With
job.
a lot of content, a lot of great
Yeah,
updates.
you know.
Thanks, everyone. See you again in 2 weeks from now. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.